The carriage rocked on its wheels, and the royal coachman could hardly sit in his seat. "Arrest the intemperate trickster," shouted the king on the captain of the king's own guards. "We'll teach him to take off his hat." The royal coachman cracked his long whip. The king's carriage swung forward up the street towards the place, but captain of the king's old guard leaned down from the big brass saddle and grabbed Bartholomew Cubbins by his shirt. Away flew Bartholomew's basket. The cranberries bounced over the cobblestones and rolled down into the gutter. With jogging spurs and clatter horseshoes, the captain and Bartholomew sped up the winding street towards the palace. Out of the narrow streets, on up the hill, Bartholomew clung to the captain's broad back. On and on they galloped, past the bright gardens of the wealthy merchants, higher and higher up the mountain, on past the walls of noblemen's castles. Flap. Flup. The sharp wind whisked off Bartholomew's hat. Flup. Two more flew off. Flup, flup, flew another, and another. 4, 5, 6, 7. Bartholomew kept counting as the hats came faster and faster. Lords and ladies stared from windows of their turrets, wondering what strange stream of hats could mean. Over the palace drawbridge they sped, through great gates. They sped through great gates and into the courtyard. The captain pulled in his reins. "His Majesty waits in the throne room," said a guard, saluting the captain. The throne room. The captain dropped Bartholomew to the ground. "I'd certainly hate to be in his shoes," he said, shaking his head sadly. For a moment Bartholomew was terribly frightened. Still, he thought to himself, the king can do nothing dreadful to punish me, because I really haven't done anything wrong. It would be cowardly to feel afraid. Bartholomew threw back his shoulders and marched straight ahead into the palace. "Follow the black carpet," said the guard at the door. Although the long hallway Bartholomew could hear all through the long hallway Bartholomew could hear the mustering of voices behind the heavy doors. "He won't take off his hat. No, he won't take off his hat." Bartholomew walked on till he stood in the very middle of the throne room. The king, in a long scarlet robe, was sitting on his throne. Beside him stood Sir Aloud, keeper of the king's records. He wrote in his belt, instead of a sword, a long silver ruler. Lords and noblemen of the court stood solemn and silent. The king looked down at Bartholomew severely. "Young man, I'll give you one more chance. Will you take off your hat, King? Your Majesty, said Bartholomew politely as he possibly could. I will, sir, but I'm afraid I won't do any good. And took off his hat, and it didn't look any good. Another hat sat on Bartholomew's head. He took off that hat after hat, until he was standing in the middle of a great pile of hats. The Lord Noblemen were astonished. They couldn't even speak. Such thing had never happened in the throne room before. Heavens, said Sir Alaric, keeper of the records, blinking behind his triangular spectacles. He's taken off 45. And there were 3 more down in town, said the king. And you must add on the 87 that blew off my head. As we galloped up the hill, said Bartholomew, trying to be helpful, 135 hats. Most unusual, said Sir Alaric, writing it down on his long scroll. Come, come, said the king, impatiently. Sir Alaric, what do you make of all this nonsense? Very serious nonsense, your Majesty, answered Sir Alaric. I advise you to call in an expert on hats. Excellent, agreed the king. Oh, guard! Oh, guard, fetch in Sir Snippis, maker of hats for all the fine lords. Into the throne room marched the smallest man, wearing the